Someone in the back echoed softly. Juice. I responded back quietly. Juice. RCO ignored the inside joke and asked a great question, one I hadn't thought of. Where's the armory? Our new security intern friend said, We don't have a main armory. Each floor has a small one, each with its own locking system. No single person has access to them all. The bad guys never got access, which is why you don't see them with any of our guns or ammo. We all looked around and looked at the gun pile and nodded. That was a small relief at least, but no idea how long until the security team cracked. The head scientist calmed in really quick. He was heading upstairs. Heading things up at the hospital. He said, Everything's fine on our floor still. I don't think they'll come down to bug you guys because they don't understand the toxin and probably just think the first floor is infected now. They definitely know you're here, though. Don't forget that they will have probably seen you drive in and certainly heard gunshots. If anyone gets wounded, just get to the elevators and have the first floor buzz us when the shooting's done on the floor you clear. Try to keep collateral down, though. We don't have a ton of gauze and hemostatic. RCO responded, Sounds good, and tell them thanks. The security intern relayed the message and looked at us intently for the next instructions. RCO paused for a few moments and began. Most likely there are 11 of them remaining, as our analyst estimates, probably 3 of them on floor 2, 3 and 4, and 2 on 6. They don't have comms, we do. We have about equal numbers, but we're going to have to hit each floor at the same time. If we go floor by floor, we risk them getting past us if they try to make a run for either of the 2 other floors. I jumped in really quick. Oh, and the fire escapes are all garbage. They won't be escaping outside at all. RCO nodded. Everyone was listening intently, so we continued. We'll have 3 clear floor 2, 3 clear floor 3, and 3 clear floor 4 simultaneously, as well as cut off the exit. Comms will stay here to coordinate. Medic will be in the main stairwell with analyst watching the stairwell to call out movement, and can be rapid fire team if anything happens on those 3 floors. One of our former armies says, I don't suppose we have floor plans. Everyone grumbled. The general consensus back from the people who lived there was that it was mostly cube walls for shared living areas. The hard wall offices had been turned into tiny bedrooms. There had been new additions made since the last official construction, but no effort to keep up a floor plan. Plus, it was something they definitely wanted to work on. I thought to myself, that would be something I was interested in helping with later. RCO mentioned it's good to always remember then about over-penetration. Please choose any shots you have to take carefully, even if the other side is not doing so. Everyone nodded and buddied up. We'd all practiced clearing rooms and buildings 100 times, but there was always that thing you could just feel in the air. That excitement, everyone felt it. Years of practicing in kill houses for fun, and team building finally paid off in one way or the other. Everyone took drinks from their water, and so did I. I folded up my piece of paper with my tower drawing and put it in my pocket, and then we headed into the stairwell, rifles pointed up, scanning for threats. Chapter 21. Everyone find your floor. We went up the stairs as quiet as we could, heels and toes and slicing the pie. One would stay at the floor level and everyone else would go up the stairs. Someone would stop and cover the above threat area. The person from below would catch up and someone else would stop at the next set of stairs and maintain cover. The traveling overwatch continued until 3 people were at each of the floors they were supposed to be. So 3 people had buddied up and stopped at floor 2, 3 more stopped at floor 3, and the last 3 stopped at floor 4. While this was happening, Medic and I looked around to find a spot where we could see up to the ceiling and to the floor and the best we could and find some cover. There was such a spot where there were some facilities machinery close to the 4th floor that had been reinforced with steel and concrete pylons. So that is where we prepared to wait. It only took a few more seconds for comms to start. Listen up, we breach in 10. Only radio if you need something. Good luck, copy? 2 copies came back. 1 from each of the other entry teams. Everyone looked at each other and thumbs up. I look at Medic and said into my mic, "Copy also." We both nodded. The Op 4 could have been listening, but it honestly didn't really matter. Mic check was more important. They knew we were coming, only really two options. Both sides hunker down forever, full speed engaged. They had hostages, so it was obvious. So with that, the countdown started. We all looked at our watches, and in 10 seconds, 3 doors went flying open, and in our guys went. Thankfully, the doors hadn't been affixed with early warnings or traps, possibly due to our speed. There hadn't been a time to assess and react. We could hear commotion for a second, but then the doors closed behind and everything went quiet. We waited 30 seconds, then a minute, and then 2. Both Medic and I scanning floor 2 and 3, then looking up both with our rifles and eyes, half expecting someone to come out of 6 to maybe run up to 7 or vice versa. A third minute went by, which seemed to last forever. I thought back on my first real mission with Medic when we were running security at a big event before the collapse. It was to keep both sides of the protesters safe from each other, but the protesters don't really care about that. Leo, our law enforcement, had welcomed us and was working with us 100% of the entire mission. The mission was to guard a gazebo at the bottom of a park, which is what one of the groups had a permit for. The other group, which was about 30 to 50 anarchists, had threatened to come shut them down by any means necessary. I was with Medic and 2 other guys at the upper parking lot with a bunch of Leos. Then about 20 anarchists decided to come right at us out of nowhere with 2x2 boards about 6 feet long and 2x1 boards about 1.5 feet long. They were trying to get down to the gazebo where some speeches were being held. Leo, to their credit, held the anarchists back until something strange happened. The anarchists turned right around and went and hid under a bridge, which didn't make any sense. They waited about 5 minutes and came back, and when they came back, Leos did nothing to stop them, and the black mask-clad kids completely overran us. I had anticipated this, though, and had radioed ahead where the team members met us halfway to get us down safely with the rest of the group who was waiting. It was a good thing, too, because all I had was a can of pepper spray with me that I didn't even know how to use at the time. Pretty sure I had my K-bar at the time, but it would have been done absolutely no good against 20 guys with 5-foot-long carpentry product. But what we had was this great team of guys with great comms, coordination, and courage. At that point, we were able to hold our ground with equal numbers, and Medic was able to render aid to the people who the anarchists subsequently wounded in their violent attacks. We weren't permanent teams, though, and everyone melted away after the event to go about trying to make it their day-to-day again. So here I was again with Medic, as those tense seconds ticked by. And we looked at each other again, then up the stairs and back down with our rifles, just wondering what was going on, staying quiet. Then we heard over comms, "Floor 2 clear, 3 in custody, over." Comms downstairs affirmed the message. The 10 seconds went by and I started to get anxious. Maybe 30 seconds later, there was a second message over comms. "Floor 4 clear, 3 in custody, over." Comms downstairs responded back to him also. I heard what I didn't want to hear, a gunshot. But it was just a single gunshot, maybe a pistol gunshot, but hard to tell from here as it was far away. Maybe someone taking out a hostage taker mid-sentence as he was beginning a monologue. "Floor 3 clear, 2 in custody, 1 DOA, over." That was our CO talking. DOA meant dead on arrival. I'm assuming the leader took their own life instead of being captured. Then we heard something from up on the 6th and 7th floor. We quickly pointed our rifles as best we could while covering each other and tried to get decent angles and cover. I called it in. "We have motion on 6th and 7th door." Only the doors opened. But we couldn't see anything else, so we didn't move. We didn't shine our flashlights or try to make any movements because we didn't want to give away our positions. Then we saw white t-shirts coming out from both doorways. I screamed, "Hands! We want to see your hands!" They must have assumed from seeing us enter the building and the other floors that we were pros, and must have assumed the gunshot was their boss taking their own life and that there was no point in fighting. "Hands and slow!" I yelled. Just then one person from floor 2, 3, and 4 each arrived, rifles low, then raised up at what they saw. Someone else took over from there issuing commands, and we covered them as they got to floor 6 and zip-tied the captives, and then got to floor 7 and did the same.